The first thing I discovered about being on a team was I have to serve the song. If you want to be good at something, you got to put in the time. You got to work hard. When you bring me into your organization, I'm going to motivate, I'm going to entertain, I'm going to educate, I'm going to play rock and roll drums with rock and roll music. Everybody's going to leave with something.
I love the shirt. I love the boots. Kenny, always a pleasure. John Fogerty, ladies and gentlemen.
I motivate my audiences from my experiences playing with people like Sting, Elton John, people like Buddy Guy, Ray Charles, Avril Lavigne, Michelle Branch. To do your homework. Now, I'm like famous for this. Just ridiculous amount of work.
Now, I don't want to tell you how to do your business. I think your drummer may be a little anemic.
And boom, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, July 4th. Happy July 4th to everybody out there for joining us here live with Kenny Aronoff. Mr. Kenny Aronoff, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, man. That intro just blows me away. I was joking, telling a friend of mine, said, hey, you know, I'm a drummer. No, I really am a famous drummer. It was kind of funny I said that, but when you see that intro, it makes me look like I really am a famous drummer.
You are a famous drummer, my friend. So thank you so much for joining us today. Hey, listen, I know this is super impromptu. I mean, we were chatting over the last couple of days, and I know that it was important to you to want to do something for July 4th. So I'm glad that you decided you wanted to do something and jump on to say, happy 4th of July to everybody out there and so on. Let's just jump right into that for a quick second. How have you been, and how do you normally spend like July 4th for you and your family?
I just go to my studio and work. Is it July 4th? I mean, my mom will call me up and go, Kenny, you know what today is? I'll go, uh-oh, what? And she'll tell me it's some holiday. To me, it's like July 4th is, okay. I got to go practice. Oh, I got to work on this. Oh, I got to work on that. Oh, yeah, barbecue? Yeah, let's barbecue. Later on, how about 9 tonight?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's and to that point, I mean, you're normally on tour, you're normally traveling, you're normally doing something, which means that the one day kind of leads to the next, and it's not that it's not important, it's just that it just blends into the next thing. So, especially, and I'm thinking now though it's a little different because you're staying focused closer to home, you're in the studio quite a bit, and so on. I know you're connected, and I wanted to mention about that. I mean, your family history is also, I mean, July 4th is also a great time to reflect on the people who have given, United States and North America freedom, people in the military and stuff. Wasn't your dad or somebody, can you tell that story? Like you have a military connection in your family. Do you know it?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so proud of my dad because I'm proud that I can talk about my dad like this because he, my ancestors came from Russia. They were avoiding the Russian Revolution of all things. And my grandfather came over and came to Ellis Island, then lived in Jersey and had my dad, my uncle, and my aunt. And my dad, survived them all. Anyway, the business model was you come to America, get an education, and then get a job in the field that you got your education in. And my dad was like a chemist and was an expert in paper. Anyway, that got interrupted by World War II when the United States decided to get involved with trying to free the world from Nazi Germany taking over, and so they decided they needed to build what they call the Army Air Force, and my dad was picked to be a navigator, and he trained for 2 years, and they put him in these big, huge bombers, that had 10 people in them. They had those gunners in the back and those little glass bubbles, and there was a pilot, co-pilot, navigator. Those were the 3 guys up front.
Yeah.
And then they had 7 people scattered to, basically the idea was to shoot any enemy coming in on these planes. They would fly in a formation of 9 planes. So when they were based out of London, and they take off, and the first plane would then set a flare off like purple, and then my dad's squadron had to form in a formation of 9 planes.
Wow.
Following that purple, okay? And my brother did a whole 17 DVD interview on all these, the pilot, co-pilot, and my dad before they all died. And it's like a total
is that available? Like where is that?
No, and I'm ashamed to say I haven't watched all of it, but it is unbelievable the questions that were asked. They asked the pilot, you're only 23 years old, you're flying into Germany with flak, and you're watching other planes and other squadrons, like a red, a yellow, other 9 planes getting shot out of the sky, just blown out of the sky. And my brother asked the pilot, how did you stay focused? You're 23 years old. He said, what we did was I just stayed focused on my mission. This is what I do. This is where I have to go. And that's all you think about. You point the plane in the right direction, you drop your bombs and turn left and go home. And there were some crazy times. Like my dad, he went back to the bomb bay got stuck. My dad had to go back and you're looking down on Germany, and he's trying to adjust a bomb to go down. And when he came back to his post, it had been blown out by gunfire from down below. Weird things, like there was a time when they took off and all the flight plans blew out of the bomb bay. So my dad navigated that big ass plane with the stars. He had with constellations.
Come on.
Yeah, and wow. I mean, so he effectively did the last 13 or 15 missions over Berlin to end the war as a navigator.
Wow.
And I have pictures of this. It didn't mean anything to me as a kid. In my closet, I have his uniform, his jacket, and there are pictures from the bomb bay, them dropping bombs. I mean, another weird story is I was playing in Germany, Mannheim, with John Mellencamp.
Sure.
I think it was John Mellencamp. Yeah, it was John Mellencamp. And I called my dad up. I said, dude, I'm in this city called Mannheim. And he said, son, in World War II, we razed that city with bombs, and now you're playing rock and roll in that same city.
Wow. Now see that, boom. I mean, that's unbelievable. Now here's this stuff always freaks me out. If anything, just think of the opportunities of things where something could have went wrong for him and he didn't return. None of this would be like everything we're ever talking about with you you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't exist. Do you know, like just, is that ever like that?
Of course.
Sink in, right?
There were a lot of close calls with those guys. They ran out of gas and they had to land with just by a stroke of luck. There was another time they were being chased, by the enemy, and they had to maneuver these big ass bombers through a fjord in Norway, with the wings almost touching, rocks. Weird, just all kinds of stuff. It was the classic thing where you didn't want to talk about it, like a lot of people, that come back. It just brings back too many memories. I mean, when you're a young kid, I mean, that's a lot to see. It was an interesting thing, because I'm all about discipline and following orders and staying on the path. My brother asked this one, I think it was the pilot, when he started training, he was only 17 years old, and he had to lie to get in the Army, which became the Army Air Force. And he grew up on a farm in Wisconsin, and they asked him, so what? I mean, how did you go from being on a farm with with a cool family into suddenly taking orders in Atlanta with a drill sergeant yelling at you? He said, easy. He says, when I grew up, if I said anything, if I talked back to my mom, I got slapped in the mouth. And if my dad heard about it, I got the belt. And I woke up every morning before school and did 2 hours of chores on the farm.
Right.
And then came home, more chores, then dinner, then homework. I mean, there was law and order, but there was a lot of love there too. So he said, right. I had learned so much discipline and understanding rules and boundaries from my family upbringing that going into the service was a natural a thing for me.
Wow, that's amazing. I just love the story behind the idea that any moment in his journey you wouldn't be here. I mean, I know I don't mean that in a funny way. I'm just saying I always think about just how history is just so quick and fleeting and
absolutely
fragile.
Well, I mean, somehow I feel like his DNA got passed on to me. Well, it did, of course, but I mean, I wasn't in the military. I had to deal with the possibility of going to Vietnam, and my draft number, it was the last year of the draft. Now, my birthday is March 7, and Nixon, this is when Vietnam was not cool. It was the end. This was the end. It was like the most uncool. So, so all through high school, I mean, we were all in fear of this Vietnam War because we'd have friends like, that were 3 years older than me that went to Vietnam and they'd come back and they were like, vegetables, or they were dead. They didn't come back at all.
Wow.
And so the last year of the draft, I think I was a senior in high school. So President Nixon, he pulls out, they're like ping pong balls. They're like balls, pulls out the first date, and it's March 6th, the day before my birthday. And me and my twin brother and my mom and my dad and sister were all watching this thing. Or like, oh my God, that was close. The next number he picked out was March 7th, my birthday. So I'm number 2. The chances of me going into the service are pretty much 99%. And there's two of us. And I'm telling you, this was not, the war was we were getting our asses kicked and it was ending, but they still were drafting. And so my twin brother, I had transferred to go to Indiana University School of Music. So when I had to go to go for my physical, it was in Indianapolis. And so I got out, my brother got out. I had it was not, it wasn't that I didn't want to serve. It just that was clearly a dead end. That was not everybody was getting killed and it was not going to be a war we were going to win. So everybody was trying to get out. And I had allergies. Wow. So basically, we went to my doctor and he explained that this guy's allergies are so bad that he could be a detriment to his other soldiers. Like,
right.
It's not a good idea for him to go to a place where you could, need all kinds of medication and stuff like that.
Sure.
But when I went into the physical up there, I was terrified, absolutely crapping in my pants. And they go, all right, everybody who's got papers to get out of the Army, step over there. So I step over there. All right, alphabetical, first person, Aronoff. I'm like, oh my God, here I go. I go marching into this room. There's 3 guys, hell, they couldn't be much older than me, in lab coats. And one guy goes, looking through the papers, it's like 27 pages. He goes, Mr. Aronoff, Kenneth Aronoff, where does it say on here that you should not be in the service? What's wrong with you? And I was so scared, I just froze up. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was like, Anyway, the bottom line, he says, there's enough stuff here to get this whole building out of the Army. So he threw the papers at me. And I walked out, and the other guy said, "Man, don't worry about him. He's just upset because he's got to stamp every page 7 times."
Sure.
Anyway, but
Wow.
the bottom line is,
Yeah.
I believe in all that. I just admire my dad and anybody who serves,
Sure.
because it's a job that somebody has to do, and they do it, and I honor them tremendously, for what they do.
Yeah, I know, and this is the point of mentioning it, is that your connection with your dad, and like you said, I mean, there's different people. I know Springsteen talks about this often in his early career, where people that he played with in his early bands, like while he was still in the bars. I mean, some of those players left and they didn't come back, and he always talks about this idea. I wonder who took my place. I wonder who took. Very powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff. So listen, I know that, again, I want to make that connection with everybody to know that it's just more than obviously just a holiday, and everyone should be grateful for the people that have sacrificed, and of course that's the messaging we send out to everybody today, and so on. So what generally, again, some of the memories you might have of playing around the holiday, this sort of particular holiday, because it's such a big holiday in America, when you were playing live, like any particular shows that stood out for you, or any events that kind of stood out for you while you played?
I'd say the biggest one was with John Cougar Mellencamp. We did this huge July 4th celebration, basically in an outdoor venue called Deer Creek outside of Indianapolis, and that's obviously our home turf. And it was live on ABC. I think Dick Clark might have even been the announcer. It was huge. It might have been 20,000 people, and it was live on TV. And my twin brother showed up. One of the funny moments was, my brother, they had a big bungee. This is when the bungee thing was big. And they tried to kind of create a circus kind of vibe also on the property. And there was this big bungee thing that you could do. And my brother goes up to do the bungee dive. And everyone's going, "Kenny, don't do it. You have a concert." But they thought it was me. And then later on, my brother was out, by the mixing board, right before the concert, and they're going, "Kenny, what?" Or maybe I was playing. He's going, "Kenny, what are you doing out here?
Don't do it."
And he's like, "If I'm Kenny, then who's playing drums?" Duh.
That's funny. Hey, I just scooted away, and while you were talking there, I was listening. So that's a funny story there too. And I'm able to pull up. I just went out to the internet and found this. So everybody, the concert that
that one
talking about, it's actually on. I'm gonna bring it up for a second. Now, we can't play, just so everyone knows, we can't play these tracks because Facebook for copyright reasons shuts it down. But let me just go grab this, and I'll put it in the background here and see if anything tweaks a memory. It's kind of fun to kind of do that. Just give me a second here. I'm just gonna find that particular screen. Here we go. Let me just see if I can find you that one right there. There's John. Let's see if we can open that up a little bit. And there's the show. I can't put any of the audio or the video on. I'm sorry.
Right.
There you are. Look at that.
I got hair. Oh my God, I had some hair.
What a great view right there.
Yeah.
I mean, you looking out over that kit like that. I mean, come on. I mean, what is that? I mean, you take it for granted. I mean, because you live it, but what's that like? I mean,
that was the greatest time, because that was the greatest time because, first of all, we were young. The audience was young. Being in Indianapolis, I mean, I could look out there and say, "Hey, John. Hey, Bob. Hey, Sue. Hey, Carol." I mean, right. we knew everybody, and people knew all our songs, every lyric, and they'd stand up and sing, and it was probably the highlight, one of the greatest highlights of my career, because the audience, you can see they knew everything. They went crazy for us. A song that we were doing 3-hour shows,
right,
with no opening act. It was just us.
Well, you had the material. I mean, the material. Oh my gosh! By '92, you had all of these, and that's the classic lineup, is it not? That we're looking at right there, the classic.
No, that's my buddy Dave Grissom on guitar. Larry Crane had left.
Oh, he just did. Okay,
so that was the only. And Dave actually was in a band before I was even in Mellencamp in Bloomington, and I kind of brought him in the fold. That's Mike Wanchek. He's still there.
That's right.
The accordion player sadly died of a heart attack at 42 He had a heart condition. But
No.
that was the best lineup, minus Larry Crane. But Larry Crane was amazing.
Right.
And that's Lisa Germano.
That's Lisa Germano. I've been trying to find her, by the way. I've been trying to find her online, just so you know. I'm
Yeah.
trying to track these folks down so that we can grab them for conversation. So
Lisa's great.
Yeah, she seems wonderful. I can't find them. They're not active on social media as much as you are. And but that's Toby, is it not? Right there, yeah.
That's Toby Myers, bass player.
Yeah.
He was kind of the chick maggot of the band.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So this show we're talking about right now is literally just to let everyone know we're just watching it right now a little bit. It's a Mellencamp live from Indianapolis on July 4th of 1992. So can you remember that tour specifically? Can you remember like what was going on in your general life? Can you remember what the band was doing? I'm just curious if when you see these things, does it resonate with you to the point where you're like, oh yeah, I remember what was going on kind of that day, that week, what we were doing?
Well, I just remember that day was huge because this was the type of thing where I could get 60 tickets for free.
Right.
Now I get no tickets for free. There is no free tickets. But this was when we would, and it was just a wild party. I mean, there was one time I was friends with Jim Irsay from the Indianapolis Colts.
Right.
One time I played at this venue. He sent his jet helicopter to pick me up in Bloomington, which is, I mean, I could have driven there. It's only an hour and 20 driving. I get picked up in a jet helicopter, me and Mike Wanchek, and we get flown in. It's just for the fun of it, and a couple of my friends, and we get flown in. No, it might have been just me and my wife at the time, her friend, and my son. We get flown into the concert. I get out like a rock star.
Yeah. Well, look at you there. I'm just looking. I'm jumping in there every now and then. I'm just thinking, yeah, man. What do you mean, like a rock star? You were and are a rock star. So,
yeah, I guess so.
But I mean, you look at that though. I mean, this is the fun part. Like you mentioned at the top of the show about seeing your intro. It's only when you kind of have a chance to look back that you can see.
Yeah.
I love this thing about that. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards.
It was an incredible time. I mean, we literally go from the stage. Well, we had a hangout afterwards, but we eventually would either go to the jet. We had a private jet, and we'd just fly to the next destination, or we'd spend the night. And John would put us in the best hotels: Four Seasons, Ritz.
Right.
And we were young, so we always had some partying, drinking, fun, everyone laughing. It was a happy band. And then wake up next morning and go to the next gig. We'd sometimes play 5-6 shows a week.
Wow.
And those crews, man, they'd load up, I don't know, I can't remember the most trucks we had. I don't know, 7 semis, maybe more. I don't know. We'd load up the PA and the lights and the stage. We had massive stage. You can see I'm way up high.
Sure.
And they load everything up and they go through the night and be setting up at 7 the next morning.
Right.
They were those guys were the first and the last, first to get there and last to leave.
They were monsters. Well, I mean, they still are. I mean, let's face it. I mean, the people that are in the road crews, even today, not even today, especially today, the technology is one thing, but you still literally have to set that stage up. There's such a physicality to it. People think it's still just technology. Yes, it's great to have great technology today, but you still have to load up trucks. You still have to go from one place to the next and all.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
And I rely on my tech. If something goes wrong with me and it's not fixed, the show stops.
Right.
I mean, if I've blown bass drum heads.
That's right.
Twice I blew a bass drum head, and both times was in Montreal.
Yeah, I know. I know. In the last show, someone asked you about that, and you said, "Yeah, I broke one." Actually, I did it twice. So
I don't know.
Cool,
whatever.
Cool.
But I mean, cool. Those guys are incredible. And my tech my tech runs. I have my own. I figured this out a long time ago. The monitor mixer. And he's the guy that makes sure that everybody on stage has the right mix so they can hear. But really, that's different from the guy out front who's mixing the whole the audience. That monitor guy, I rely on him so much. And but his primary job is to look after the lead singer, the guy whose name is on the marquee.
Of course.
So I went,
of course.
this is not cool. So I ended up getting my own 16-channel mixer
Oh,
and put it behind me. And I would get my own lines from the monitor mixer on the side of the stage. And I would have, at first, I used to mix myself while I was playing. I'd be mixing,
Wow.
and then eventually
Now-
I had my drum tech do it.
Right.
Now we're down to the point we got rid of that big huge rack,
Right.
and he uses an iPad, and there's a mixer on the iPad. And the cool thing is, if God forbid that iPad goes down, see, then the monitor guy takes over. So
Oh.
I have a backup.
Oh, there was I see.
So his
yeah, I was thinking if
faders
one went down, you'd be done, but no.
No, his faders. Oh, I have a third backup. I have monitors behind me, and if
Right.
something goes wrong, they just turn them up real loud. And
Right.
so I take my ears out and hear audibly. But when my engineer or my tech is
Yeah.
mixing, if he brings up a fader to get more volume on the vocal,
Yeah.
he brings the fader up on the monitor mixer's desk. So
Ah.
it's all in sync.
Yeah, it's all synced up. I got
It's
it.
awesome.
Hey, listen, I'm just gonna jump around a little bit with you right now.
Yeah.
We have someone sitting in the green room because what we did today, because it was so impromptu. So, again, happy 4th of July to everybody. I know Kenny wanted to do something for 4th of July just to kind of do a shout out and celebrate the 4th of July. So what we did, we just put out a text number. Now, I didn't even know if that text number is going to work, Ken, just so you know. I made up this number digitally. I said, hey, I'll just send it out and we'll see if we can get some people to tune in to actually connect with you live here. So this is the first time we've actually done this. We're going to try this route now. We got Alexander is sitting in the green room. Let's go see if we can add him into this. This will be fun. I don't know how this is going to work, buddy, but Alex,
Whoa!
Hey,
how are you,
hello, boys?
How are you? Alexander, where are you calling from, my friend?
I'm in Boston, but I'm originally
Boston.
from Norway.
Oh, fantastic.
That's right. Yeah.
Let me jump off the screen. You go ahead and chat with Kenny. Glad you're here. And thanks I saw you sitting backstage a little bit waiting for us. So really appreciate you, going through the process of being here. So I really enjoy it. Thank you for doing that. Hey, I'll leave you with Kenny. Go ahead with your question with Kenny.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for putting this on. I can't think of any better way to spend 4th of July than this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a question, Kenny. I'm a guitar player.
Yeah.
But I've been starting to play a little bit of drums too, sort of like to be more aware of my time.
Yeah.
And being a guitar player, of course, I've been able to escape my responsibility of excellent timekeeping for the longest time. So now when I'm sort of trying to get into this a little bit more, I realize all my shortcomings.
Yeah.
And,
Well, it's hard.
I think my approach. Yeah, and my approach has been sort of like, I have this sort of like whack-a-mole approach to it, or ski shooting, it's sort of like, here comes the click, whack, whack, here it's another one,
Yeah.
And that's obviously not working. So I've been trying a few other things, like, I'm trying to move my body in certain ways, and I'm trying to, I visualize a great drummer, like what he would look like when I play, or even when I play guitar too. Or I'm trying to sing drums, so when I play, I go,
yeah, that's good.
Those kind of things, or subdividing. But I wanted to see if you could sort of point me in the right direction. What are you thinking about, and when you play, and to sort of like keep this time, because it's invisible,
Yeah, everybody's born with a different ability to keep time naturally. And I remember Vic Firth. You know Vic Firth from Vic Firth Sticks?
Yeah, absolutely.
The guy. So he was my teacher in Boston when I studied timpani. And I remember he was born with perfect time. This guy had impeccable time. So I could never be what that guy was. But he told me, I remember him saying, you've got to hear the time in your head and feel it. And even feel the subdivisions, which was, so if you're playing 16th notes, but that or but that he's hearing all right. So that was the concept, but that's a hard concept to embrace. So let's step back. What I try to do, the click starts to become just another member of the band. So I try to make the click sound like a musical instrument. Got, got, got. And if there's no subdivision like gaku, 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 I hear the subdivision in my head. Gaku, 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 gaku. And then, like you said, I start moving with it. Gaku, 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 gaku. And when I play the simplest beat, like Kashmir by Zeppelin or Back in Black by AC/DC, and both those beats are ah, ah, and the eighth note going accented eighth, ba, boo, ba, boo, ba, ba. Those are the simplest beats, but as you know, the most difficult to play perfectly with the click. And if you're perfectly with the click, you won't hear the click. It goes away because you're playing right on it. So what I would do is, since you have a studio, is that your studio or is that a backdrop? Do you have a studio?
It's my studio, yes.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So studio to studio. So what I would do is put a click on, and you've probably done this. You play along with the click? Do you play along with the click?
Yeah.
And can you record the drums and the click? Can you do that in your studio?
Yeah.
Well,
it's mostly set up for guitar. I don't have anything mic'd or anything for drums, but it's mostly guitar studio.
Yeah, the reason why I was going to say, because if you did, then you could see, are you behind? Are you ahead? Where are you? See, if what you described before is you were following the clicks, so you're late. Click, oh yeah, click. You want, here's a good exercise. Let's see. You play the click. How do you have the click? Do you have a drum machine or just what's on your Pro Tools or Logic or whatever your program is? Is that where you get the click?
Yeah, if I record, it's just Pro Tools. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you could have a click going, and you do. You get Pro Tools, and let's say you get 8 measures of click, and you record yourself playing with the click, and then leave 4 measures with no click, mute it, and then it picks up again.
Okay.
On the 13th measure, and you start playing. So you go. Yeah. Let's say rhythm guitar, which is one of the most difficult instruments or things to do, because rhythm guitar is like hi-hat and snare drum. So you play along with the click, and then the 4 measures go out, and you keep playing, whether it's guitar or drums. And then when the click comes back in, you'll find out how far you got off. You might start with just 1 measure of silence. 1 measure of silence.
Yeah.
And then you do it, then you're back in playing, then you do later on 2 measures of silence, and you start to get better and better. You want to think of the click as like another instrument, and you're playing with it. You got to be able to sing it and feel it and hear it. And it just takes, like anything else, it just takes repetition, doing it over and over again. But I just I mean, it's constant work for me. Some days I wake up and I'm better with the click than other days. But the trickiest part is do this. You listen to the click and you start feeling it. Then you turn it off and start playing. And then record that and stop. And then check with a metronome or some device if you sped up or slowed down. Most people, if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, they come in, they're the wrong tempo. I had one of the most famous jazz bass players. Played with John Coltrane, Bill Evans. I got to play jazz with him for 1 weekend. His name was Chuck Israels.
Okay.
He counts off to me. I was like 22, 23, and it was bebop. It was just bass, upright bass, drums, sax player. So I was very exposed. And he stood right in front of me. We were sideways looking at, like, here, you're the audience. We were like this. He just looked at me. But in rehearsal, he named the song and went, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, ding, ding, stop. He said, when I count off, don't be thinking about anything but the tempo I'm counting off. I don't want you to think about your girlfriend, the wall, outside, whatever you're thinking about. I want you to concentrate on that time so that when you come in, you're playing that time. My point is, most people, they don't think about it. They just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Not me. What I'm doing, if you watch me on TV, I always have a click before every song, especially when I do those big TV shows where I'm going from artist to artist. As soon as one artist walks off stage, I have the click going of the next artist in the tempo. And I'm tapping on my leg. So when I count off, I'm already playing in time on my leg. And that is the only chance I have to come in. It's not like a casual thing. So you see me, I mean, Kennedy Center Honors, where I played for 7 years, you'll see me tapping on my leg or my arm or something, so that, or I'll be doing this. 1, 2, 3, 4, goot, gut, doot, gut. That's why I move when I play, so that and then I step back and observe myself and go, is that drummer playing in time? Is he speeding up? It's definitely something I'm always working on.
Yeah, that's Kenny, just to jump in on that.
What is that?
The whole point of
what is it? That's it.
See what
your
Alexander
body movement
is
you tell when your body is moving that you're.
Yeah, like Phil Rudd does that with AC/DC. Watch Phil Rudd. He's always do-do-ba-do-do-ba, and he's moving with Malcolm, the guitar player. They're all getting that thing going.
Yeah.
So, I do that a lot. It's just the way it makes me feel like I'm playing in time. It's like I'm always moving in time, so my body is feeling the time.
That's fantastic. Alexander, I hope that answered. Does that answer your question of this whole timing thing? Listen, you just got a private schooling with Kenny Aronoff. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So just a final
best 4th of July ever.
Well, that's what we're hoping for. So you said you're originally from Norway, Alexander?
Norway.
Right. And you live in the United States right now? Where are you in the United States right now? Where are you now? I'm in Boston. Area. Got it. Okay, great. Fantastic. And can we find your music online? If we searched your name and Googled your name, we would find some of your work online?
Maybe. I don't have a whole lot of stuff out there. I play mostly with other people and stuff.
Oh, you play with other people. Well, you're speaking to the king of playing with everybody. You're speaking to the king of that. Well, listen, we appreciate you joining us today. We appreciate you. Have a great 4th of July, and I hope this was helpful for you, my friend.
Absolutely.
Cool, man.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, Kenny. And this was amazing. Hope you guys have a fantastic 4th of July.
Yeah. Thank you. That was great. Hey, can you spend it? Hey, that was so insightful to kind of, especially when you talked about how you kind of operate on live shows with like the Kennedy Center. And I've seen that before, by the way. I've watched those shows with you playing so many times that I'm thinking like, God, like you said, as soon as he finishes one song, everyone's clapping and everything. You can kind of see some of the people moving around and stuff, but you're back there, you're already clicking, you're turning a page.
Dude,
right?
One of the biggest situations was when I got asked to do the CBS special called The Night That Changed America, honoring the Beatles for the Ed Sullivan Show that I saw 50 years prior, and that's what got me into music. And so one of the most difficult songs was, I may have mentioned this last week. Correct me if I did. I don't want to repeat it, but it was that song "Something."
Right. That's right.
And it's very slow. It's like 64 beats a minute, I think. And it was with Joe Walsh, who has impeccable time. I mean, and the way I know is that when we did the actual concert that night, he was very strict about that tempo. And I've seen him do other very slow songs where he's impeccable about being spot on with that exact tempo. And I did a Levon Helm tribute in the Izod Center in Jersey, which is like a 20,000 seat arena. And he pulled me in to his dressing room. Kenny, I want to talk about, we were doing Up on Cripple Creek, which was a song by the band. And he says, what tempo you got? And we went over the tempo. I think that's good, but maybe I might want it a little faster. But when he says that's good, or he might want a little faster, he knows exactly what he's talking about.
He knows that 1 or 2 degrees. I think I remember. We'll go back to this story again in the future, but I think you said he changed it by 1.
He asked me to play a little bit
At 63, wasn't it? You said 64. Can you play it at 63? Was it at that?
I think I was either at 63. What it was I was playing 63, but kind of a little bit laid back because the song is bum, 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 something in the way.
Right.
Ba-da-boom. Ba 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 boo 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 ba. It's very slow, and the idea is to be able to keep that tempo from beginning to end. But it starts off with ba ba da ba ba da boo ba ba. You can usually go ba ba da ba ba. You can speed it up, starting with the left hand because I'm going ba 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 boo 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 bam right hand. So you're going from left to right very quickly.
Yeah.
And in that very intro fill, you could speed it up and play the absolutely wrong time. But a guy like Joe Walsh will hear a millisecond. So what I did was, I think it was at 63. And I was playing laid back, and he said, man, it feels a little slow to me. So I had to make a decision, speed it up to 64 or play at 63, but a little bit more the center. Don't lay back. The song is slow. Let him lay back. I play right on the beat. And that's what I did, and he liked that. And then during the show, I was studying him very carefully to make sure that if he got a little bit excited or something and would want it a little faster, I always study the artist. And no, he wanted it exactly the way we rehearsed it. And afterwards, he went like that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Listen, I got another guest in the green room, and I'm kind of scared right now because he's actually physically moving. So Reggie, I got Reggie in the green room. I hope, Reggie, you can hear me there. And I hope you got all your eyes on the road because I'm going to bring you in here. And I don't know if you should be like looking at us while he's actually driving a vehicle. Reggie, you're not supposed to be driving a vehicle and on our show, just so you know. But I'm going to try it right now. Here we go. Let's see what happens here. Hey, Reggie. What are you doing driving a car?
Hello?
Yeah, it's Peter and Kenny Airdoff. It was Kenny Airdoff here. Yeah, what are you doing driving a car? Calling into the show.
Yeah, I had a question. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, so I live in Louisville now, and I happen to see a lot of shows with Larry Crane back in the, a couple of years ago, and
cool.
I always thought I saw him up in Hope, Indiana, and Shelbyville, Indiana, and
I know all those places.
In Bloomington, and I was wondering, will y'all ever play with him ever again, or?
Oh, who knows? I mean, you never know. There's no plans for that, but I mean, you never know.
That would be cool. I love you, of course, but I also love Larry, and I also David Grissom's aunt was my neighbor, so I got to know him pretty well. Not him, but know his family really well too. But I just love that old music that Mellencamp did. But I also love all of David Grissom's old solo records as well as all of Larry's.
I just recorded with David Grissom. He's living in Austin. He's producing a new artist, and I just recorded with him. In my studio, people send me files, and he sent me the files. And we talked about it, and I recorded it, sent him. I had bass and drums here, and then sent the files to him in Austin. And by the way, are you on Highway 65?
I'm on the Waterston right now.
Oh, I know that road.
Yeah. I saw the message, and I'm like, man, I'd love to be able to talk to you, and
you should
I
tell
never
him.
would have imagined being able to talk to you, or I've hung out with Larry before in the past.
Yeah,
and I think this is really cool.
You got to tell everybody how good Kentucky bourbon is. That's the best, dude. Nobody's had bourbon until you've had it in Kentucky. They make in Louisville. I was there with last year with the Experience Hendrix tour, playing with Joe Satriani and Doug Pinnick, and I went to the whole scene downtown is incredible now. All the bars and it's really Louisville's turned into one of the hippest cities in America.
Yeah, they have all these cool bourbon tours and everything that you can go to now.
Yeah,
there's one right downtown by the baseball field.
I think I might have been at that one. I was at about 3 or 4 of them.
But I'm originally from Massachusetts. I grew
Whoa!
up in Cape Cod.
Whoa! That's where I go every summer.
Yeah, and so so my high school team played your high school back. You went to Monument Mountain, didn't you?
Oh yeah. What did we play you in? Was it what sport?
Yeah, so.
What sport?
Soccer.
Oh my God! Yeah, I was on 2. We won. I was on. I was a varsity soccer player in my sophomore year, junior, and senior year, and we won 2 Western Mass Division championships because we had a guy from Argentina that was ridiculous. I mean, you couldn't. He could walk. He could dribble through a whole team. Oh my God! So I used to go to Orleans every summer on the Cape. Orleans.
Orleans.
Yeah.
I grew up in Orleans.
What? Oh my God! Are you kidding me? So I used to go to. We used to go to. Was it Nauset Beach?
Yeah, I grew up going to Nauset Beach.
Jesus, dude! I know. I know. Everybody listening, you probably don't care, but I know the town he grew up in. That was like, well, when I was young, that's where I would try to meet girls. Get on the beach. But oh my God! So,
that's a tiny world, man. That's a tiny world. Hey, Reggie, just so you know, Reggie, I just wanted to throw in that we've been reaching out, and I'm throwing it out to your universe again. I've been reaching out to try to track down Larry Crane. I know he still is out there and he's still active and so on, and I respect his privacy. So but I am putting it out to the universe and let him know that I have been putting that energy out there, and hopefully we can connect with him and have a conversation, because I know what you mean, Reggie. Or I'll speak on my perspective, is that Kenny certainly was, pretty much a dominating sound and part of the Mellencamp, era. Certainly of the classic stuff, but Larry had that beautiful guitar sound, and of course he was part of the production, right, Ken? I mean, he was the production sound and all that stuff. So really important to recognize the people that participated in that sound.
Well, Larry is one of the best rhythm guitar players I've ever played with. He played rhythm guitar, like I said, hi-hat and snare drum. It's like buku gaku. He had a great groove. Amazing.
Yeah, I just love the guy, and I love all his music, and he's such a sweetheart too. I got to know his mom a little bit, and his brother John.
Yeah.
His brother John was a drummer.
I know. I knew him.
He passed away a couple of years ago.
I heard.
Leukemia, which was really sad. I know it broke Larry's heart, but But hey, thanks a lot for this opportunity. I love being able to
that's great. Oh, that's great, Reggie. This is exactly what, when Kenny said, hey, let's just do something for July 4th. I was thinking, well, you know what? There's people out there that we're all feeling a little disconnected right now. We're all staying home or isolating. We're not doing our normal July 4th. So for the opportunity for you to reach out and have that connection and tell that story, we appreciate that. Hey, all eyes on the road, and have a bourbon for Kenny and I when you get home.
Will do, brother. Hey,
okay. Take care. See ya. Bye.
Cheers. Wow. How weird. How cool is that? How small is the world?
Wow. I mean, that's like,
right. The world is so small.
Hey, you know what? I just got I got this cool thing from Kurt Newman from the Bodines. It's a July 4th release. It was just released just now.
Yeah.
And what it was Kurt. There was a song I did, Closer to Free, and I did the whole album. Kurt reminded me the other day. I did the whole album. And then the record label was looking for kind of a different direction, maybe a raw sound, I don't know, whatever it was. Kurt ended up playing drums because he was a drummer first. Right. He played drums on the album, but he was adamant about keeping my drum track on Closer to Free, which eventually became the theme song for Party of Five. So Kurt said, dude, I want to do a video with you and me. Well, it's mostly him singing that song, and so I filmed myself in the next room, and then he edited it together. It's coming. I gotta play a little of this. Tell me if you see this.
Well, you know what? If you don't.
Oh, okay. I can't. That's right.
I'm gonna make noise there. I gotta make noise.
No. Well, that's what it looks like.
Okay, I'm just saving your live stream.
You're right. I forgot about that. So anyway, you guys check it out. I'm gonna post it later.
Yeah. So what again? So just tell what it is. It was released today. What is it again? And
well, the song is called "Closer to Free,"
right?
And Kurt wanted to really give something special to the Bodines fans, and I've actually played with the Bodines on and off more than any other band in my entire life. It's like since 1989, maybe. Right. I recorded an album called Home, and then I in and out playing on tour. We've had talk about some rock and roll fun. That we've had so much fun. It's kind of like at this point we've kind of grown up through rock and roll together. Right. And so Kurt said, "Yeah, man, I'm going to put this out. How would you like to play drums?" And there's kind of an intro. We're talking or yelling at each other. Okay. "Hey, Kenny, how you doing?" I go, "Great," and then "I'm bored." I says, "Let's go out and rock." And so then it breaks into this song, and Kurt's brilliant at editing and record. I mean, he's a brilliant artist. I would say, not just a musician, but an artist. And he put together this cool thing, and I shot different angles right in my studio. And I what I did was I wasn't the sound. He sent me the track the track of "Closer to Free." And I played along with it. I had it in my ears, like I have right now, and I played along with it. And then he took the visual footage, lined it up with the music. I took the visual footage, put it in iMovie on my computer, and edited out the crap, and then sent it off to him. And then he put it together.
What a great, man! How big is that song, though? I mean, my gosh,
huge! It was huge. I mean, it might have been their biggest song ever. Because I would think so, because it was on Party of Five for a gazillion years.
Right? Yeah.
And it's just so funny that the record company, I don't know. And Kurt was stuck to his guns. Said, "No, I think Kenny should be honest. It's got the energy. It's got the this. It's got the that." And then,
wow.
Great, but the cool thing in this virtual this time where we have to do everything virtually, not only am I doing that, like recording music from here, but I'm doing visual stuff, speaking stuff, lessons, motivational stuff right from here. And I'm about to set up, a 4-camera shoot where you can get my control room, my drum room, 3 different. It's going to be the coolest thing.
Wow. And to your point about talking about virtual, how we are today, how we're connecting, how we're doing this today, is that that's going to be sort of the path for the next, let's just say the rest of 2020 for certain.
Definitely.
And so that's why I'm really glad to hear it. Again, I know you said that you're going to be updating, your studio access and more cameras, all that kind of stuff, virtual speaking. Again, you're being, obviously filling up your schedule with recording. So again, I always want to remind people,
audio version of my book I'm going to do right from here.
Let's talk about that for a second. That book is out. It's been re-released as paperback on Amazon, and now they want to do an audio version. Of course, they have Kenny Aronoff to do that. Tell us a little bit about that.
They didn't ask me to do it at first. Yeah. I heard that they were doing my audio book. I went, "What?
Right?
You're doing my audio book without me?" So I was like, not that I'm like God's gift to reading, but I would think if you were reading somebody's audiobook and you want to get the audio version, you'd want to hear because the inflections and I'm going to be able to tell my story better than anybody. I mean, and so anyway, I am doing it. What it did, they wanted to see if the sound from my studio would be adequate for the technical people to do their treatment to it. And it's a go. I'm excited. Wow. And everyone said, "Oh, it's a lot of work." I said, "What isn't a lot of work?"
Well, yeah.
come on. I mean, it's my audiobook. And I have another book I wrote, and I sidelined it 2 years ago for a couple of reasons, and I just started reading it again. It was edited. It's a motivational book or inspirational book. It's basically, are you living your life loud or you dying on the vine? In other words, you're not born successful. If success doesn't land in your lap, you make it happen. I mean, really make it happen. I made my career. I mean, I've been beaten and fired and hired, and anybody successful is going to have a roller coaster of a life. It's the people. It's the people who stop and get paralyzed and think, "Oh my God, it's over." It's never over.
No,
there are no mistakes. There are no failures. Those are just experiences. I swear to God, $1 million. If you keep going, it could take 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. If you keep going, you will get somewhere, as opposed to doing nothing. That's what that book is. My autobiography is what I did. This new book, when I eventually get it done, or when I decide it's going to come out, it's about how I got where I am and how I became successful and how I'm continuing to stay successful, not only in my career, but in my life. Because
that's right.
Anybody who knows me, I'm just always searching to be a better man, a better Kenny Aronoff,
Fantastic.
That's it. What else am I going to do?
Great. Well, Ken, we got another guest here. We have We have Kathy. Now, I didn't look at all. I'm seeing so many emails come in. So just so everyone knows, we're doing this impromptu Facebook Live. The information of how we can have you come on to the show is on the Facebook, if Facebook comments. So go through that, and then we'll start banging off some commentary here if we can, and get some guests involved. So Kenny, this is the first time we've done this. We're just rocking and rolling. We're just going to see. Let's see if we can bring Kathy in and see. Kathy Higgins, how are you?
Just relaxing here in the great state of Illinois when it's 95 degrees outside and just boiling.
Wow. Well, happy 4th of July to you, and thanks for tuning in. And thank you for following all the instructions that we threw to get you on the show. So the fact you did that, you're here on the show. You go ahead and throw a question at Kenny.
Yeah, so I wrote out a couple of them, so I got to get my memory going here. But I was just wondering, do you play match, hands, or traditional grip, or do you do a mix when you play?
All right, these days I started traditional, and that was let me see if I can get that in here. Holding the stick with you can't see it really, but the traditional is like the way the marching drummers do it. And the reason why the traditional grip came up was the drum was so high, off of them, that they had to, if they played match, their elbow would be way up. So they played traditional like this, so their elbow would be down. But when I started, and so I learned that way. But when I started playing timpani, it was match. Let me get that right. It was match grip. When I played mallets, marimba, and vibraphone, and xylophone, it was match. I went, well, wait a minute. Why am I playing this way when I play snare drum and this way when I do everything else? So eventually I converted everything to match. And when I started to see drummers like Billy Cobham and all these other rock drummers start to do that, I spent a whole summer doing all my rudiments match grip, and eventually committed. The only time I do traditional is when I play brushes. It just feels better when I play brushes, which is not that often. But there's definitely a different feel when you play traditional. That left hand kind of, when you're doing shuffles or swing stuff, it's more natural for me. It's just the way the stick bounces off the drum. But 99.9% of the time, everything is match grip now.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. When I play slower songs, like you were talking about playing something, I find I switch over to a traditional grip. Okay. It's just part of the groove that I get. So yeah. I was also wondering, why did you switch your toms?
Yeah.
Because I can't figure that out yet. I got a new DW drum set. I got 2 drum sets in my living room now and 1 downstairs.
Awesome.
I just keep looking at this going, what did you...
Okay, that's... All right, so for everybody who's watching, the traditional setup, if you have 2 rack toms, is you have like a 10-inch, and it gets lower, 12-inch, or you go 12, 13, or whatever it is. It's high to low. And what happened was I got with the Mellencamp band. John wanted me to have, I had a huge drum set with like 9 tom-toms. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tom-toms. So, and John went, no. He wanted me to have the more traditional, like the Charlie Watts, the Ringo Starr, or for that matter, Buddy Rich, which is 1 rack tom above the bass drum and then 1 floor tom. So I went, oh, okay. What happened was after I recorded Jack and Diane, that was with 4 tom-toms. And but that was okay. No, the real reason was I just realized we were playing live, and I had a 12-inch rack tom, and I had a 16-inch floor tom, and I had an 18-inch floor tom that I hid. I pulled it in so that when you looked at me from the audience, it looked like one rack, only 1 floor tom. So I was following John's orders with regard to the visual look. He wanted that cool 4-piece look. And the engineer said, your floor toms are so low in these big arenas. Do you have a smaller tom you can add to your kit so you have a higher pitch? And I went, well, I do. I have a 10-inch tom, but, John doesn't want me to have another tom up there. So I said, hey, I got an idea. Tell John that his vocals will sound so much better if I have that other tom up there. I was just joking, obviously. But the engineer went to John and said, I really need some higher pitches. And John said, fine. So I was so used to having the 12-inch there, and I didn't want to move it. And I actually had it on a snare stand. So it's like the snare drum here, the rack tom right there on a snare stand. And then, so I thought, I don't know, I thought I'll put the 10-inch over to the right because I'm not going to use it that much. And that's how I did it. And the cool thing is if you do a fill and you hit the 10-inch, the small tom first on your right, then your left hand's ready to hit the other tom. So it works real good that way. So that just became my thing. It became a thing.
That's been a common question, Kenny. Every time we get online here to do anything, that's always been the question. So just for some fun here. Now I'm going to put you on the spot, Kathy. Like, are you on a cell phone right now or on your computer or laptop? You can move it around a bit.
Cell phone, yeah. I can show you my DW if you want. I got to take the. Can you actually? I met you at Indianapolis. I was walking around, hobbling around with a.
When did we meet?
Yeah, so we met in Indianapolis in September, I think, is last year. You were down there in Indy, and so I drove down there, and I had a brace on my knee. I was hobbling around, and at the end of it, you went to sign stuff, and I brought as I study under you. You're my teacher. I chose you.
Yeah. And, was this at the museum?
Yeah, that.
The rhythm. Yeah. I remember you. Yeah, it was.
I gave you my Sharpie. I said, "Well, and let him," because you had like 100 people waiting in line, but you came over and thank you for remembering me. All right, am I doing my DW?
Yeah, show us your kit there. Show us the drum kit.
Can you see this? I don't know.
There you go.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh wow, that's beautiful.
Wow, is it ever? Look at that. Look at that.
Thank you. I love it. It's called Pale Blue Oyster. Yeah. And the bass drum is great. I'm having a little issue with the floor tom. I can't seem to tune it the way I want to.
What size is it? 16 or 14?
No, it's a big one. This is a big baby.
16.
Yeah.
Try tuning the bottom head first.
Okay.
And make it. That sounds like it's a little too tight on top. And you might you make the bottom firm so there's no wrinkles or anything. You make the bottom firm and try to make the same tension at every lug. Then bring the top head. You'd start with finger tight and start bringing each lug up evenly and just keep hitting it until it starts to sound better. And sometimes... And put your finger around the edge where the head is touching the bearing edge and see if the drum head is got a wrinkle or anything. If it's got a wrinkle, tighten that area a little bit more. But it sounds like it's a little high.
Yeah, it is high. I bet.
Yeah, I can hear the overtones. What you do is take a tuning key and just tune just a little bit down each lug all the way around, just a little bit, and then push it down with your hand to stretch the head, and then hit it and see if it sounds better.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do have a real small one here, a little Pro Roadshow that I use. I play a lot of open mic right now, and this is kind of fun.
That's awesome, Ken.
Oh, that's cool.
Look at that. Jeez, Kenny.
I love it. 2 drum sets.
Yeah, an 18-inch bass is just, and it sounds great. We played at there's an old folks home right behind me, and my friend Jason and I went over there and played, and we didn't even practice. We just played and they got up and danced, and it was such great fun. Of course, the old ladies were like, "You're a woman playing the drums." I just laughed.
What? God, wake up, man! There's lots of women playing drums.
Absolutely.
Come on.
I love Sheila E., but she's more Latin than what I got with you going on with you. Then the last thing is I studied White Room with Ginger Baker, and it's really cool to have a smart TV and be able to watch them at 68 and then 205 played. And then had a couple of band members, a couple guys come down and wanted me to play in their band. Yeah. So I studied it. We went down there and played. And then with COVID, we hadn't seen each other. So they count another drummer. And Rich called me and he says, "We can't stand it, Catherine. We want you back." So I'm happy about that, man. But I do all your 13. I don't do them every day, but I do those 13. And I know
the 13, yeah. Good for you. It's so cool meeting you.
That's fantastic.
I love it. I just love it. And last thing, I'm so jealous of you being John Fogerty's drummer. I want to be his drummer. I love him so much. But thank you, Kenny. I just love you, and I love studying under you and everything. You guys have a good 4th.
Oh, you as well, Kathy. It's great to meet you. That is awesome. How cool is that? And she got them in her living room.
I love it. Dude, that's the way I grew up. I had something in every room in my house.
Oh man, that is hardcore. I love it. I just love the fact that I just loved when she came out. I was thinking, I just didn't have 2 kits in her living room being pictured. I love her. She is awesome. You know what we got to do, Kenny? If we ever get John on here somehow, Fogerty somehow to chat or something, we'll have to bring Kathy in and freak her out. That's what we'll do. We'll have to freak her out. Okay, so listen, I'm so excited right now because I didn't know this was going to play out. We're just hanging out. Are you still good with time, by the way?
I'm all right. Yeah.
Because I wanted to be respectful of your time here for 4th of July. So everyone who's tuning in to us right now, this is very impromptu. We didn't really promote this or anything like that. Kenny wanted to jump on for July 4th and wish everyone a great holiday. And so we threw out the number and so on. But Kenny, we have someone on the line here. I wasn't expecting this guy to show up. And I've never met him before. I might have met him actually in Edmonton when we went up to, remember where we met in Edmonton? Got together?
Yeah. Remember at Axe Music.
Yeah, but that was in Calgary. But we went to Edmonton for an event. Do you remember what the event was?
Oh, it was the Hired Gun.
Bingo! Look who's on the
What's up, buddy?
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Who is that? I was like, he goes. Hey,
you gotta let me do the introduction to this bald and beautiful guy. All right. So a long time ago, I don't know how many years, I get asked by Fran to do this this documentary called Hired Gun, which is about people like me that have played, under so many great artists live and in the studio, and in my case, still doing it and very relevant. And Fran is just one of the nicest people in the world, but he's very, very, very aware of rock and roll because he traveled on the road forever filming rock and roll bands. So he understands my lifestyle. So he did this documentary and, you never know what's going to happen. Even Fran didn't know what was going to happen. You could film and film and film and edit, and all of a sudden you got crap. But in this particular case, he didn't. And so this documentary, I think, became #1 on Netflix for a while, right, Fran?
It did, yeah. I trended for maybe 3 weeks, which I was very proud of, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so am I, man.
Yeah.
And Fran, I get people now come up, hey, aren't you that hired gun guy? I seen you in Hired Gun. And so anyway, Fran did a great job, but it wasn't by accident. It's an amazing story. And from there, he is you got an award recently for was it
it was the Kodak Film Award for Best Documentary. Yeah.
Was it for Hired Gun?
It's kind of like overall, I guess.
But tell them about
the filmmaking, I guess. Yeah.
So and we have here's the cool thing. I brought the CEO of Kodak Film to see Hired Gun, Steve Bellamy, who were great friends, and Steve actually at the end, who's seen everything, he said to me, "Damn, that's a really good documentary." Then I introduced these guys together, and it's just been Fran just did a new documentary that just got done. By the way, everybody, these things take years and years to do, and there's more footage on the floor than what you see because it's like writing a song that you have to go through a huge process, and what you originally think is going to work might not work, but you have to be open to the craft and the artistry, being artistic to see where it could go. Anyway, he's done an incredible documentary I haven't seen yet, but it's on Ray Parker Jr., who is most noted for his songwriting for the Ghostbusters song. But I've done sessions with this guy. He is like one of the greatest session guitar players from Detroit, played with Stevie Wonder when he was like, 15?
Yeah, 17, I think, is when he went on the road.
17, and had been through a lot of heavy life experiences that have nothing to do with music specifically. And oh my God! So I'm Fran Strine. That's my intro to Fran Strine.
Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah, since meeting Kenny and interviewing him, man, I learned so much from your interview because, like you said, there's a lot of stuff on the floor that is never seen.
Yeah,
your work ethic was something I wish we could have talked more about. We did hit on it a little bit, like you're telling John that you're going to be the guy. I'll sleep on the floor. Well, I kind of had to do the same thing, and I took a lot from what you said in your interview and brought it to the table with Hired Gun. And it took 3 years to make that movie. A lot of people don't know how long these things take. Yeah. Not so much the editing and getting the stories together. That all happens in the edit bay. It's the clearing of the music and finding the archival. And, there's a shot in there of Billy Joel laying in an airplane when your boy Liberty was like, I want to go home for Easter, but, there's not enough room on the plane. Billy might want to lay down. That picture took 9 months to find. You could have had a child by then.
Wow.
Yeah. So we found the photo, but it's like, how bad do we want it? It's like, to me, just that visual reference was huge. And then, and I don't know if you apply this to you too with the musicians you play with, but David Foster gave me some good advice and told me to always surround myself with people better than me that'll make me a better filmmaker.
Yeah. That's why you hang out with me, so I'll make you a better filmmaker.
Right. Yeah. Well, man, I got to give you props for introducing me to Steve Bellamy and bringing him to that screening.
Cool.
He immediately ran out to the lobby. We did the screening at the London Hotel, by the way, for everybody watching.
Yeah.
And so I got myself framed here. Okay.
Yeah, he went right
filmmaker, composure, and lighting.
You like my lighting, dude? I've got the podcast lighting.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm just sitting here in my apartment in Santa Monica.
Do you know how it is? A 10-2. I got a 10-2 lighting.
Yeah, for sure. So Steve came out in the lobby and was like, "Your movie's a masterpiece. Yeah. Why didn't you shoot it on film? You'd have been nominated for an Academy Award."
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, at the time, film's not cheap.
No, of course not.
But he made it very affordable for me. And we did shoot a lot of Ray's movie on 16 millimeter, and it showed.
Yeah.
And, I was glad to see you at the award show. That was a cool moment for me that you were there.
Oh my God, you guys, you got to realize when Fran won the award, Tarantino was there. Tarantino. I mean, Tarantino was there giving a speech. This is a small party. And what's the other?
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Name some of the movies Christopher Nolan's done. I mean,
Batman, the Tenant's about to come out.
What did he do? Whatchamacallit? Wonder Woman, big ones like that. I mean, he's done
Wonder Woman. He did, all the Batman.
All the Batman. Yeah.
He's a genius. And then Tarantino.
Yeah.
Needs no introduction. But it was jarring getting up there and making a speech in front of them. I was nervous. Yeah.
Everybody in that room was somebody.
Oh yeah. For sure. So let me ask you a question on being a session guy. Like, who is there anybody left that you want to play with that you haven't played with? I mean, you played with the Beatles. You played with
Stones, Sting. I played with Dave Grohl. Played with Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
God, I don't know. I don't think about that much because I don't know. I don't think about. Although somebody has asked me many times, if you had a super group, what would you do? Who would you have? And I thought, well, here's one version of a super group. All right,
right.
Well, Chickenfoot's great, and I was supposed to go out with Satriani, but how about this for a super group? Lead singer and bass player Sting. All right.
Yeah.
And the guitar player Jeff Beck.
Oof.
Oh my God! Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that'd be ridiculous.
That'd be pretty ridiculous, and I'd be happy. I mean, but I mean, I forget that there's so many people I play with. It's so across the board, I mean, I work with, I put on my resume, I worked with like Leonard Bernstein because I when I was in the classical world, I spent 5 years completely immersed in classical music and worked with.
Speaking of Leonard Bernstein, he did Ghostbusters.
What?
Yeah, I think so.
No, because Bernstein did.
Doesn't he score music?
Well, yeah, but
or compose.
I don't think he did. Cause, I mean, he did West Side Story. That was the thing that's, he did, which was amazing because that was for a guy who's a orchestral classical composer living in New York. He smelled and heard the whole thing that was happening, the whole Puerto Rican Latin thing, and then the streets with there was that the whites and the white people, and then the Latin people banging heads, and he created a whole story and he scored that. But I don't know if he did Ghostbusters, But
Elmer Bernstein did Ghostbusters.
See, you're close.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, the name is right, and they're not related. No. But Elmer Bernstein's done so many films.
Oh yeah.
So okay, so Fran, what do you now because of the COVID thing? See, I'm in here. I record in my studio almost every day, and I'm turning it into. You're gonna love this. I'm about to get 4K cameras, and I'm gonna have a whole virtual speaking business here, and on and on. But how? I mean, the film business, you can't bring people together. So what are you doing to adapt?
So for the Ray Parker film, we just, the Zurich Film Festival in Switzerland is going to be the first international film festival open back up. And a lot of the films that were supposed to be at the Cannes Festival or South by Southwest, are going to be premiering there September 24th to October 5th. And we've been invited to do our world premiere there. So we're hoping that we can get over there. Let
me ask you this: is it possible that they would do a virtual version of that if they, God forbid, things get worse and you can't go over there? Would they do a virtual thing? Would that even work?
It would. You kind of lose the charm of being in a festival. We invited you to South by Southwest for Hired Gun.
Oh,
you saw the vibe. You know what I mean?
Okay,
you just can't get that vibe watching on it. And plus, movies should be seen on a big screen.
I agree.
It probably could, but for me, and I'm keeping my ego out of it. It's like I think the audience wants to see it on a big screen. And we mixed both Hired Gun and Ray's movie at Skywalker Ranch, or Skywalker Sound. So it's the best sound you're ever going to hear.
Dude, I agree with you. It's like seeing that seeing something like that, especially when you've got film and the sound is like what you're saying. It ain't gonna cut it on a computer. Sorry.
No. You know what? I got to say one thing about Hired Gun that I was really thrilled and happy to see is that Liberty and Billy kind of patched things up.
What?
Yeah, man. So apparently Liberty just putting out a autobiography.
He just did. It just came
Billy
out.
Joel wrote the forward to it. I know, right? Whoever,
Dude.
you know, and dude, I had to interview Liberty twice. The first time it was so violent. Had I put any of that footage in the movie, he would have been arrested for capital murder just for saying. I'm like, Liberty, we gotta reshoot everything. We can't do this. I went to Brooklyn and spent a week with him and filmed all this. And by that time, he'd seen a life coach and calmed down a little bit. But you know, you can still tell it wore on him that he and Billy were on the outs. And I'm so happy that they are back together now.
So, you know, it's almost like we should call you Dr. Fran Stride.
Yeah, I don't know if I had anything to do with it or not, because Billy was pissed at me. You know, he tried to shut it down.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I mean, for those who don't know about Hired Gun, is that one of the main characters is Liberty DeVito, who played with Billy Joel for 20 plus years. And in a lot of bands, this stuff happens. You have a falling out for multiple reasons. And Liberty was quite open about, you know, his relationship with Billy, how it started great and how it ended not so great. And, you know, I'm sure Billy probably had a different opinion. And so, but Fran captured very accurately what, you know, Liberty was going through. And Liberty was very, very, you know, he wasn't holding back, as you said. So you felt like you were getting an authentic interview and storyline, which then got into how it affected the other band members. And so, sadly, one person in the band committed suicide because it was being fired from a band you'd been in for, you know, most of your important adult life, really affected him. So, I mean, this is an incredibly impactful a documentary, but so to hear that these guys have patched up is something I would never have thought that would ever happen.
And I'm so happy for him because I know it weighed on him for many, many years.
Yeah.
And that leads me to ask, like, have you ever lost a gig where you were just sour at the artist? Would you share one of those stories? Like you're just pissed?
Well, I've taken myself out of two situations. And yeah, and I and everything got patched up.
Oh, good.
Yeah, everything got patched up. I'll speak about the first one was the Mellencamp. I'd been with Mellencamp for 17 years, and I have not 1 ounce of bitterness or resentment, nothing. All I have is joy and happiness and gratefulness for being part of one of the greatest of American bands. And what had happened is simply John had taken this. He was burnt out. I didn't know. He was burnt out and decided after 8 years, I'm gonna stop. And I'd gotten divorced, and you know, I had bills to pay, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, you quit. He said he was going to quit for 3 years. He didn't, but when he told me he was going to, it sure seemed believable to me. he conveyed that message very well, and I went, oh my God. So what happened? I'm grateful that ignited my session career, because that night I went, oh my God, I am dependent on this guy. The next day, basically, I heard the same thing he told me, but with a different light. I put a twist on it. I went, all right, you're quitting the rock star I've worked with for, at that point, 8 years. Now I'm going to go work with all the other rock stars. So I threw myself into LA, and eventually I established myself as a session drummer, which then I had 2 drums in Nashville, 2 drums in LA, 2 drums in New York, lots of drums in Indiana, 1 in Japan and 1 in Germany. And people would fly me all over the world. And so what happened was then I realized I don't want to be dependent on one guy. That eventually made it more, my relationship and John's, a little bit more stressful, because John wanted me there, you know, whenever he wanted me.
Right.
And I can see it from his point of view. He helped make my career, but I had to look after Kenny because he could quit whenever he wanted. And I was at the mercy of that. So that eventually put stress on our career. And I remember the last conversation we had, I said, Kenny, let's just look at it like two ships passing in the ocean. You do your thing, I do my thing. But then Rolling Stone came out with an interview and he completely trashed me.
Oh, shit.
But it's all good.
It's funny how that happens, right? With the musicians, it's always drama, man.
Yeah. Oh my God, you've seen plenty. I can't say so. Oh my God. Yeah. Anyway, it's all good. I look at everything as a life experience. And
so do you prefer the live touring situation or a session? Do you like to be home with the wife? And
I love both. I love both. But right now I have no choice. So I go to the studio every day to give her space. Yeah. Gives me space. I need to be working all the time. I do miss playing live shows. It is an adjustment because I've spent most of the last 40 years traveling a lot, and I was doing the live thing and the speaking thing, and all that's down. But as long as I come to the studio and I work my ass off, and I'm the type of guy that likes to work until, like last night, I think I got finally to bed at 3 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a late night. But I left my studio late last night, maybe 12:30, because I've got all kinds of. It's not just practicing, but I'm doing all kinds of other projects. And so, yeah, I miss the touring. I do.
Man, I got to tell you, I do not miss touring.
Yeah.
I toured for almost 30 years, and
wow.
Go see Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and
holy shit!
Backstage and hearing the tour buses and the diesel engines. It almost gave me PTSD. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Hey, Frank, let me jump in on your friend for a second. Let me tie in back into the Hired Gun, which is again one of phenomenal. And then Kenny and I went up to Kenny was going up to speak here in Alberta, and you had the premiere up in Edmonton. And so anyway, I met up with Kenny up there and we hung out.
My father was passing, so I wasn't able to make it.
Got it. I remember that because I remember they brought you in on the screen and we took some questions and things. I'm like, I don't know if you remember. Yeah. Anyway, and so I mean the film is again so explosive when it comes to people who don't understand the industry. I mean, explosive is the right word too. The story is just like Kenny was talking about, even Kenny's story. I mean, not just even Kenny's story and Kenny's story. I'm just thinking about, for yourself as a director and your connection with Kenny. What was it about Kenny's story that you said, okay, I got to have this guy in it?
Well, I mean, everybody knows that famous drum fill and Jack and Diane. And then you just look at his Wikipedia page, you're just bowled over, And he's such a great personality. He's, explosive on film, tells great stories. And, you want to always captivate the audience. And Kenny does a great job of that. And his storytelling is just phenomenal, And then I read his book and was even more sucked in and knew I had to have him. He has some pretty good screen time in Hired Gun, but, he's just a beast, man. And his work ethic is, when we hang out with him, he'll just tackle you and just give you the big bear hug. And he's never stopped, man. It's like, the fuck, what is this guy, But it's just great, man, and I love your work ethic, dude, because I work that hard as well, and anything you do, you really got to put
absolutely.
I've been talking to this one Olympian, Apollo Ono.
Oh yeah,
and he same thing, man. These guys just, I mean, if you don't kill yourself to get there, you're not going to get the gold, No. In your case, platinum records all over behind you, and a couple of statues for myself. So, hard work pays off,
Absolutely.
And you always got to, what else too, man, that Ray told me that I really, and I listen to a lot of these musicians, by the way, so
Yeah.
Ray told me, he goes, why are you, I used to live in Northern California in Marin County.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was coming down all the time, flying, driving to Los Angeles to meet with him and just do research and development. He's like, why are you up there, man? He's like, you got a girl up there? So I was like, no, just love living there. He goes, well, I'm here, and you're about to spend the next 2 years making this movie. He goes, you need to burn that place down, So he's, and he goes, are you doing any other work? I was like, no, this is it. Just documentary filmmaking. He's like, man, okay. It was like, I always tell everybody, burn the B plan. There cannot be, no matter how hard you got to struggle.
Yeah.
Straight ahead. Don't take any other side gigs. Just hustle and do this and you'll succeed.
Yeah, much respect for an independent filmmaker, by the way. Independent filmmaking.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not just wearing a hat. I mean, you're making these hats. You're not even wearing them.
Yeah, man. You know what? Hired Gun was really, really difficult to make because of some of the producers on there. I'm not going to name any names.
Yeah.
But you know, another thing you got to learn too, I guess, as a musician and a filmmaker, you know, bring back the cool people, you know, and keep the cancer out because.
Right.
You know, like Alice Cooper says, man, there's just some people that rub you the wrong way and you don't want them around you. So I did that with this movie. And we did, once we got the funding for Ray's movie, it was done in less than a year.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, thanks to Kenny introducing me to Steve, and one thing leads to another.
Yeah.
You know, now I own a company with Ray Parker Jr. and
wow.
A financier in Switzerland, Ola Strom, who has funded our company now and has pledged to let us do 10 films.
That's
wow.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah,
That's great, man.
Yeah. No, I'm knocking on wood. We're very fortunate, and the guy's got a big heart and loves music. He's got a passion for it. So for him, these movies are time capsules for other people to watch generations to come. So you know, I wear that on my heart. So it's like I want to make sure I do a great job on every film, and I think everybody's going to love the Ray movie as well. It's really, really cool, and you know, no doubt that guy's more than just the Ghostbuster guy for sure.
When is that coming out?
Yeah.
Well, you know, Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is the third installment of the Ghostbuster franchise, is coming out in March. So we've been in contact with Sony and working closely with them. So we're hoping to launch it around, you know, a couple of months maybe before the Ghostbusters film comes out.
Yeah.
So we're going to be seeking distribution. I got some.
That's great.
There, yeah. No, it's an exciting time for sure. Even during this COVID, man, there's no stopping. You know, and just so everybody knows, I've been working on a film on the history of the harmonica.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't seem exciting. Yeah, a lot of people are like, the harmonica.
No. My instinct was the other way. It was like, oh,
yeah. No, it's good, man. I'm telling you, man. It goes all the way back to like Mick Jagger. You know, nobody knows. I mean, he played with some of the greats way back when he was a teenager. You know.
Well, the cool thing is the harmonica is going to bring you into so many different cultures. The actual harmonica will bring you into the blues, into rock and roll, into jazz, into maybe, I don't know, klezmer music. I don't know. It's probably, hell, it was on the campfires in the Civil War. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it brings you into time periods and cultures.
Yeah. So, you know, we've been interviewing people. You know, Billy Gibbons is an executive producer on the film as well. He's
wow.
You know Billy, you play with him.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure you got, is it Buddy Harmon?
No, not yet. We got a bunch of the guys up in Chicago, a bunch of the blues guys.
Oh, yeah. You've got to get them.
John Popper, John Mayall, we interviewed. For the great man, yeah. But we'll get there. Yeah, I mean, we've had to shut down everything, especially now. The governor shut everything down for what?
You're gonna love Buddy, because I played with Billy Gibbons and Buddy a whole night, and we picked him up. We had a bus up in LA, and we were heading down to do the blues festival in San Diego. We picked up Buddy, and the stories. I sat in the back of the bus on the way down, on the way back, and we got real close, and. Buddy, you know, he's a real deal, man. Holy shit! I mean, this dude.
He's on the list. Yeah,
he's old. He's got stories. He's seen it all.
Yeah. But Billy Gibbons, man, I mean, you must. He's got some great stories. He talks cool. He looks cool. He is cool, right?
Yeah, he defines cool.
He does, man.
He defines cool. I mean, I know Kenny always says it's joking, but I know in his heart he means it. He goes, you know. It's hard to find cool people like
no,
and when you cool, not loosely, not
right,
cool, like to the core, cool.
Right? Yeah. So are you in Edmonton?
Calgary.
Okay. Well, just so you know, the Ray Parker movie will be showing at the Edmonton, the same one. I think in November they rescheduled it so, and then we're going to do Calgary as well.
Fantastic. Well, we'll have to reconnect.
Yeah, I'd love to see him. Maybe we'll go do dinner or something.
Yeah, well, fantastic. That would be great. One last question for you, Fran.
Sure.
I wanted to tie back in with Kenny and everything you've done with Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to put him on the spot here. I just love the fact that he, you know, we're having these kinds of conversations, and as a person that makes content, I love creating content myself, and so I'm in complete awe of somebody who goes out and does an independent film, even if you did one, let alone another 10. Right. Is good.
Yeah, I know.
So much respect for that. Super respect for that. What could you say would be the legacy piece, if you will, for yourself, the intention of making this movie, and especially having Kenny involved with it? What are you hoping the legacy of this film will be?
Of Hired Gun?
Yeah. And of course, I know you're working on other projects that are going to highlight people, but I'm specifically thinking of Kenny and how he ties in with Hired Gun.
Well, I mean, Kenny is a legend, and with a legend comes a legacy. And his body of work speaks for itself. His work ethic speaks for, like, we were at where was it? East West Studios doing the live jam thing.
Yeah.
And Kenny Aronoff to me is, back then was a legend. I'm like, I'm going to do the ask and see if he'll come and do this for free, by the way. And he was there at rehearsals. He was there all 3 days at East West Studios. Zero ego. Got up there and did, double drum thing with Liberty DeVito and just killed it, man. Those are all the signs of a true professional, where you put everything to the side and do what's best for either the song, the movie, the track, the producer, or whatever. So, my hope is that generations later, after Kenny and you are all gone, that Hired Gun is still living somewhere, and that younger kids can see his work ethic and be like, I'm going to be like him. I'm not going to give up when the artist even tells me you're not good enough. Go home and just show them. I think that's important.
Oh, that's a beautiful message, and so well said about the idea of when you're working with somebody that has the like I said, go to Wikipedia, just check out what he's done, or go to his website. It's nice to know that it actually is the real deal, isn't it? You just talked about the idea of how much Kenny, he always says, I'm here to play for the song. I want the song to be the best. I want the movie to be the best. I want that scene 100%. To be the best.
And he charts everything out, you know what I mean? And that takes time, time is money, time is, energy and everything else, but he lays it all on the line and gives the client the best every time.
Kenny, what do you say to that, my friend? I mean,
I appreciate everything you're saying, Fran. It's nice that somebody recognizes, some of those attributes, but, it's back to you. You have those attributes, or you wouldn't have even been talking about me, because you wouldn't recognize them. You're recognizing something in me that is already in you. So kudos right back to you.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, listen, hey, this has been such a joy. Thank you so much
for having me on, man. This was
I just threw it out there, and then I saw this message. I was like, that can't be that guy.
And now that I know you're in Edmonton and Calgary or whatever, we'll definitely hang out.
Yeah, we'll definitely reconnect for sure. Listen, so appreciate you being here, and happy 4th of July to you. And listen, great success with the movie Ray. I mean, we're gonna pump that. We'll make sure we promote that as much as we can for you. And thank you for having Kenny and part of that Hired Gun, because that. I learned so much.
I want to say one last thing to Kenny. I saw some of the wine video.
Oh, is it good? Oh, this is okay.
What's this? I don't know about this. What is it?
Oh God! The thing is,
can't leave us with that.
It's dangerous when you do a wine interview with two women drinking wine. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
They start stirring it up. You're drinking and. You're drinking. By the way, the wine is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Did you try the 8 years in the desert wine?
They sent me a case of wine. I haven't opened it up yet. But I'm
so
sure
the 8 years in the desert. I mean, no BSing. I poured it, and you're thinking, oh God, I hope this is good. I don't want to lie.
Yeah.
It was impeccable. It was perfect. It was everything I hoped. I even said maybe my taste buds are just right for this stuff, because this never happens. It's like, oh, it's all right. It was unbelievable. Well, anyway,
Fran, let me in on something, Fran. Like Kenny and I have been talking about doing one of these. With some whiskey, bourbon, maybe some red wine. So,
I'll tell you what, if you ever get Ray Parker Jr. on, he drinks the best whiskey on the planet.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
We need to chat about that, because me and Kenny were talking about that, and we were saying, and Kenny goes, I'm reading the bourbon. Now we've got talking. I said, you know what we should do?
Man, let me tell you something.
I'm going to chat a little bit about that.
I'm calling him up. I got to get him on.
Yeah, listen, when I was at Ray, one of the cool things about hanging out with these type of people, like I get to meet my heroes.
Yeah, of course.
Right. I've toured, like I said, for many, many years and met some cool people. But I was at Ray's house maybe 5 months ago. And I was sitting in the backyard, and he's smoking a cigar and dipping his whiskey in, you know what I mean? Just smoking. And around the corner comes Bill Withers.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, yeah. He's like, I'm going to come at you because Ray played the guitar and came up with the parts in Lovely Day.
Holy shit. Of course he did.
19 years old or something.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, they're just drinking this like $700 a bottle of whiskey, like aged 30 years or whatever. I'm like, I can't wrap my head around it, but I'll definitely hook you guys up. But, you know, I do a little bit of side work, or I did with a company called Wine Access, a distribution company that brings in like boutique wines and sells them super cheap.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to do a podcast. You know, can you get any of your celebrity friends? Maybe that would be interesting. I was like, I got to get Kenny on because I know that he's such a great storyteller. And they had the best time, man. They just could not stop laughing. Like,
dude, is there anything I did or said that I would regret would be in a podcast?
Maybe saying that's funner to drive drunk than it is.
Like, did I said something like,
if I'm going to Vegas, drink some, I don't know.
I think I said something like driving drunk it's underrated. I said
underrated.
It actually, I'm so much more relaxed when I'm drunk and driving.
Yeah.
but I was joking.
Exactly right.
That's a joke. And that's a joke on July 4th, everybody, just to make it clear.
Yeah. You not drink and drive today.
Not today, not ever. There you go.
No.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing some of your insights. And we're so excited for your new movie. And we'll chat again. And
get an answer from Kenny. If you don't have it, we'll connect.
Yeah, sounds great. We appreciate that.
Tell Ray I'll be calling him, or I might not even call. I might just be knocking on his door.
He's
for the whiskey
anywhere. Yeah,
for the whiskey. I gotta go up and see him.
Awesome.
All right, guys.
Okay, happy 4th of July to you.
Yeah. Bye.
How good is that? Oh, man. We just found out where our next little, one of the shows. We talked about it anyway. We talked about.
That's incredible.
It'll be a lot of fun, right? Because and the reason why, for me anyway, I'll mention it. But the idea of sharing these other stories, whether it's a passion for red wine or whiskey, and we're not promoting alcohol, we're just talking about other passions that people have. It's just like if we got Ronnie Wood on, of course we're going to talk about art. I mean, Ronnie Wood's a great artist, and right. So I mean, there's other passions that people have, but I know whiskey and bourbons and these kinds of things have exploded in the last 10 years in the world. As a matter of fact, people can look this up, that basically whiskey as an investment has been the best investment over the last 10 years in the world. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, they're so rare and so on. So anyway, with all that being said, it's just a regular piece of conversation for some people. And anyway, we've talked about it. It would be fun to get someone like Ray and maybe Billy or Billy Gibbons or
that'd be good because I never liked whiskey or bourbons, or that's like when you're young. But I love it now. It's a whole different thing, and you don't guzzle it. I just sip it, and oh my god, that would be fun. I got a buddy of mine who I just recorded his record. He's a Delta captain, but he grew up in Kentucky. He brought back. He was visiting his mom, who has a farm, a 600-acre farm, operating with cattle and everything. And he brought back some Kentucky bourbon that was unbelievable.
Right. Do you have any left?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say we'd have it for the next show. So
yeah. No.
Well, listen, let's wind it here up, Kenny. We have another. We're gonna I want to announce to everybody. Make sure you keep watching Kenny's Facebook page, because we'll make announcements of upcoming shows, of anything that Kenny wants to do. Watch for one coming up soon. So we won't put a date on it, just in case things slip and move because of your schedule. But let's wind up a little bit about 4th of July again. I know we wanted to jump on, and any kind of couple of one-liners you want to throw to the people that have tuned in today, and maybe just 4th of July in general.
Well, I think the 4th of July, just to honor the people that are making America safe, and nobody wants war, and nobody wants the type of things of that nature, but we have people that are there to protect us. And it's a job that somebody has to do. So I respect and honor them, because if we didn't have them, we wouldn't have the freedom that we have right now. I mean, it's just that simple.
Yeah. And it's again, it's a wonderful way to kind of as a tribute, as a reminder for everybody that you know, the freedoms and liberties we have were delivered by somebody somewhere. And yeah, so listen, this has been a lot of fun, and I'm really glad. Appreciate the idea that you wanted to do something for July 4th for everybody. So everybody who tuned in, if we didn't get to your call, we apologize for that. Thanks for those who called in. It was fun to kind of have those chats. It was fun. I know that we had, you know, Kathy had those couple kits in her living room, so that was kind of cool. She's a big fan, and Reggie Smith was calling in from your back, right? Like in the back, in where you live. Like you were like, I know that road, I know that town, you know. So that was kind of cool. And so this is the first time we've done this. We're going to try to do more. We're going to try to get Kenny a little bit more involved with interacting with people, because of course this is the natural next step you're also doing with your business, which is people don't know, but if they don't know, virtual speaking and presentations and so on. So I just want to throw that in there as well for people listening, that if you have a corporation, organization, anything like that, looking for you know, a speaker to come in virtually these days, Kenny is setting up the studio for that. So Kenny, listen, buddy, you have a great 4th of July, and tell us honestly, you're not going to relax the rest of the day. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm going to go in and start doing my technique exercises and playing music. And then I'm working on the speaking business, and I've got some songs I have to prep to record. And it just goes on and on.
Yeah, it does.
And I'm going to go, it's almost 4. I'm going to probably try to get that done in 3.5, 4 hours, and then do a late night barbecue.
There you go. Well, take some time for yourself and your family, and I hope.
I am taking time for myself. Playing music, being in my studio is time for myself.
Absolutely,
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Well, thanks for joining us, everybody, and thanks again, Kenny. We'll be talking to everybody soon. Yeah. Watch the Facebook page. We're going to have some announcements coming up for the next show. And Kenny, you have a great rest of the day, and enjoy your.
Peter, great job, buddy, and thanks for facilitating getting everybody on. And we'll see you next week. Well, this week coming up.
Yes, we will, everybody. Stay tuned, everyone. Have a good one. Cheers.